I'm your host, Donna Cates, and each week we'll dive into powerful stories, expert strategies, and practical tools to help you take charge of your financial future. Whether you're planning for retirement, navigating a divorce, or simply looking to build your wealth with confidence, this is your space to grow, learn, and thrive. Let's get started with today's podcast. Hello, everybody. I'm excited to introduce you today to Ishqa Hillman. She is an advocate for cannabis and a host of a podcast called The Canna Boss Babes. And I'm really excited to learn about you and your business today. So, we're going to take kind of a deep dive into your career journey now. Can you give us about a 90-second overview of what you do and why you got into it?
Oh, yes. Well, I fell into it accidentally. Although, if I look back, I'd have to say it was pretty divinely aligned. I actually quit my old job in life on 7/10/2019, which happens to be a big cannabis holiday for people. And I had no idea at the time. 11 days later, I went and went to a little after work education night. And I learned that we have an endocannabinoid system. And as someone who had already been using cannabis and it had been helping me with different anxiety and managing stress and being a single mom and all the things for a while, um, as soon as I heard that word and that term, I realized, oh, there's a medical reason. And so it just became really important to me that people, one, be free from the prisons for this plant, and two, that people have the freedom to know about their bodies and choose what medicine works for them. So I've been on that mission since.
Well, that's so awesome. And it's interesting how you fell into it, but were divinely guided.
Yes.
Probably 80% of the people that I talk to have that divine intervention. So I think that's a real thing. But I love the fact that you're sharing that you actually came to this from a personal medical need and
Oh
getting
yeah.
that benefit. So talk to me a little bit about what you see being the biggest problem in this unique industry and how you're working to solve that.
I mean, it's stigma. It's still the fact that it is a federally regulated drug. It's treated the same as, cocaine or crack. In fact, President Biden pardoned 2,500 prisoners in his final days. And most of them actually were people who had been in prison for crack and cocaine, and only 10 were released due to cannabis. So we still have people like Edwin Rubis, who's been serving 27 years of a 40-year term, also is helping impact others as well. So, there's a lot of people who are still sitting behind bars, and yet there's a lot of people who are making money off it now too. So,
Mm. So tell me what makes you unique in the way that you're helping others overcome these obstacles.
oh, the podcast started almost 5 years ago. And being able to share the stories of the different people in the industry, I say everyone's a babe, men are babes too. Being able to share these stories have been incredibly impactful. It's grown um, community inside, but it's also built and armed other advocates. So one of my favorite is a high school teacher in Indiana, which still is not a state that even has medical cannabis allowed. And yet he, after about 2 years of watching the show, came out of the cannabis closet and now leads a group of over 2,000 members on Facebook. And so when you look at what these stories do and how when you can connect to each other on a human level, whether it's you came to cannabis through pain or anxiety like me or whatever it's done, it really helps to build a lot of connection and community. And for me personally, there was a point right before my cannabis career entry, right, where my social anxiety was so bad that I didn't go anywhere except work and take my daughter to school for 4 years.
Mm.
And so cannabis really helped me. And it was not a large amount at first. It was a very small amount, but it just helped me relax enough in my own body to breathe and to be able to think through what my next steps needed to be rather than stay trapped in a trauma response, which I had learned from youth and had never learned any other way out of, right? So I think that's really been the biggest thing that it's helped me with. And then being able to find, and then getting over my anxiety enough to go to that event, that first event where I learned, and my eyes were open. And I mean, there's people that were at that first event that are some of my best friends today. In fact, one of them's birthday is today. And so all these years later, to be able to watch this community grow, and it's hard. It's not an easy community. There's a lot of people battling a lot of things. So that's where, for me, my background really is more in helping businesses grow. I love marketing, but I've always been more on the operations side of things. So I get to do a little bit of all of it now. People usually hire me for marketing, and then I get into their operations of things. And it's a really creative space, a lot of really creative entrepreneurs that don't always know what the next steps should be and need an outside perspective and a little inspiration. So.
And look at you now. I never would have guessed that you were overridden with so much anxiety that you couldn't be present like you are right now. I
It's
mean,
wild. The first 2 years that this happened, my daughter and I'd come home and she'd be like, "What is your life?" I'm like, "I don't even know." I'm just going with it. It's just, and so the key that I use, so cannabis was a tool. I have many tools, but cannabis helped me slow down and think through things. And so one of the things I realized is, oh, I need to turn my worry into wonder. And so, because the same physiological response of anxiety is excitement, and it's all in what we tell ourselves, I said, okay, let me turn my worry into wonder. And when I know everything's divinely guided and divinely timed, then everywhere I go and am called to go, I am meant to be. And instead of worrying about, oh, what are they going to think, and all the self narcissistic things we do or to ourselves that are not kind, right? It's going into wonder. Ooh, I wonder who I'm meant to meet. I wonder what conversations we're going to have. I wonder what that will lead to. And so remembering that everything's always divinely aligned and divinely timed, and being able to use that.
I hope it's okay if I borrow that because that really resonates with me. So,
Sure.
yeah, so it's kind of like, yeah,
I
get rid
know
of the
my IP
anxiety.
attorney, she's another good friend of mine. She's like, we really need to do something. And I was like, okay, hold on. I got it out there though. Like it's, yeah, no, I know. I need to do
And,
more with that actually.
and with your marketing background, I'm sure that you can be very creative with that. But I'm just looking at the worry into Wonder Woman or something
Oh yeah.
superhero,
It
something.
changes your life. And that's the thing is, I think one of the things that I do without it being like a tangible is I help people really clarify their stories. And so that helps with the marketing and with your brand, but it's also the stories we tell ourselves as entrepreneurs. And so some is by giving them space to share those stories, I can kind of help them, oh, find a new perspective and a new way to tell that story in a way that's more empowered, in a way that aligns more with what they want, and to help them take action towards it. So, yeah.
Oh, very empowering. Well, I'd love to hear where you see the industry going in the next 5 to 10 years. I know there's going to be a lot of activity.
um, I would hope completely descheduled. There's been talk about it becoming federally rescheduled. I do have concerns with the current administration, what will happen, because there are certain cabinet members that are anti-cannabis and not educated enough to understand its medical benefits, or perhaps just paid more not to. And so I don't know, like that's kind of a hard thing to know. I know right now in California, we're facing another tax hike, which most people don't understand, that since it's not a federally regulated business, there's not access to banking. We're also extremely restricted as far as marketing goes. So there's accounts all the time that get shut down on social media. There's ads that can't be promoted. There's a lot of restrictions. So the industry itself is actually really struggling, because 36% of our overhead is just the tax.
Wow. Yeah, and
That's the
marketing.
same overhead as most other businesses. So I didn't plan on cannabis, but when I found that out and I found out all the restrictions on cannabis, I don't know, I rolled up my sleeves and I was like, let's go. Because there's a lot of challenges here, which means people have to be even more conscious with where their budget goes. And there's just, yeah, the taxes. So there's a lot of businesses that come and go. And it's a volatile industry. It's not one that's really been given the support it needs to thrive. So, which is unfortunate.
Well, and with folks like you out being a vocal, advocate of it, surely, we'll see some positive changes.
We
So,
have seen some. The city of Long Beach has improved their social equity program. That's been a good one. And then recently approved events. So we'll start seeing more cannabis events in the city of Long Beach. Hopefully lounges soon too. But we'll see.
okay, cool. Okay, hoping the best for that. So let me ask this question. What is the biggest challenge that you faced, either personally or professionally, to this point in your life? And how has it shaped how you're doing business?
Oh, I think for me, I grew up in a lot of chaos. And so there were many, many years that I didn't see my own value or my own skills and what I had to offer. And so I saw one of your previous guests talked about having a brag book, and I loved that. I want to do that too. That's just great. And and I think that one of the things I see a lot of young women deal with also is the same thing, is that we don't always know our full power in our youth. That's one of the beautiful things of when I turned 40. I call it the F at 40s, and because there's none of that anymore. None of the doubts. And so I think you know, I knew at a very young age that this was always to be doing, maybe not in cannabis, but helping other businesses and connecting people, even my marketing. And I was scared for a long time, and I did the safe route, and I waited till my daughter was 18, and then I went and leapt off the cliff to see if I could fly. And I realized looking back that I always could fly. And in fact, I was flying and carrying other people's businesses. And so all that time and energy that we pour into others, we also have the opportunity to pour into ourselves. And so I think that's probably was just, trauma and not knowing and understanding how it keeps us afraid and small. So, yeah, one of the realizations that I had with cannabis when I first started smoking was the difference between survival and thriving. And people who survive have a belief that failure is not an option, but people who thrive understand that there is no success without failure. But if you never try in the first place, you'll never know. So,
Wow, powerful.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I want to ask another question. Tell me, if you could have lunch with anybody in the world, living or deceased, who would that be and why?
My grandmama.
Awesome.
um, yeah. She's been gone for about 20 years now, and she left way too soon. And I thought about this question, like there's a million other people. Oprah would be great. Rhapsody, oh my God, Kendrick after the other night. A lot of people, but my grandmama, I just, yeah.
I feel you. I feel you. And I have to share that you're not the first one that's called on the grandmother. So I think that's fabulous. So, all right. So if people want to reach out and support you and what you're doing or work with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Oh, I'm very active on really a lot of the social media platforms. Most of those are fine, but the website's always going to be the easiest. So thecannabossbabes.com. LinkedIn's great. You can find me there, Ishqa Hillman or the Cannaboss Babes. I'm the Cannaboss Babes on every platform. So, yeah, please check it out. it's really exciting hearing from people in new states or people who are kind of curious and want to know more about it, to hear how much information they get from the podcast. It's a very loose, easy conversation with people, and it's a safe space for people to share their stories and how it's impacted their lives. And yeah, it's a great place to go learn.
Well, and I'm really excited to check it out. So I have not followed yet, but I will do that today. So
Thank
awesome.
you. Oh,
You're,
good. Well, then I will be sure to tag you in a post later, because I appreciate this opportunity as well.
okay. Yes, not a problem. All right. Thank you so much for the interview today. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, informed, and ready to take the next step in your financial journey. Remember, building wealth isn't just about money, it's also about creating a life that aligns with your goals and values. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with the women in your life who deserve financial empowerment too. Until next time, stay confident, stay empowered, and keep building the life you desire.